Still a Nation Live. It's your boy Sanders Tisdale.
And I'm James Owen. Salute to service.
That's it, baby.
It's this time of the month, time of the year, folks.
Hey, guys, like we said, always giving much respect to our guys in blue, the guys who out there who really doing it. You know what? Football players, guys in law enforcement out there, they get thanked for what they do or the things that they do. But the real heroes out there, the guys out there who are fighting for this country that make it to where we're able to get out here, do our streaming, do our shows, and other things that we're able to do in everyday life, James. I mean, what's your thought on that?
Absolutely. To the men and women out there who are still serving our country, God bless you. And thank you for everything you do and continue to do for us on a daily basis. And for us veterans, you veterans out there, thank you for your service. And hey, this is what it's all about. God, country, and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's it, baby. Well, speaking of that, guys, you all know, we know the Steelers had a horrendous day down in Philadelphia.
At least we're consistent with the losses.
Yeah.
Sanders.
Every time the Steelers go to Philadelphia, huge matchup, Kenny Pickett versus
Jalen Hurts.
And then, like I said, and Kenny Pickett started off, we thought it was going to be okay, but what happened, James? Not much.
Typical Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't win 3-yard passes and 2-yard runs. You have to open up this offense. And Sanders, we're going to talk a lot about this later on in the show. We have a bye week coming up. We're 2-6, Sanders. Who will still be a Pittsburgh Steeler after this bye week? Are we going to turn it around, Sanders? We had some big trades today also. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. When we come back from our bye week, we play the Saints at home. And why is that significant, folks at home, Sanders? I'll tell you why. Back in 2006, when Bill Cowher was the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe it was his final year, Steelers started out 2-6. Not looking good. And it's not looking good for Mike Tomlin. His tenure year, this might be his last year as Pittsburgh Steelers coach too. But, folks, if we remember, we look back at 2006, the Steelers started out at 2-6. They go into a bye week. They come back, and who do they play? They play the New Orleans Saints at home. Call it a coincidence? Who knows? Can this be some ray of hope, some ray of sunshine that the Pittsburgh Steelers can actually turn this thing around?
Well, it remains to be seen. They've done it before. A lot of you guys who are Steelers fans, you know, the Steelers started off at one point. They were 0-4 at one time, and the Steelers came back, made the play. No, not made the plays, got close to making the playoffs, but they came in at 8-8 record. So that means they can do it. That means that, you know, the Steelers have to find a way to get out of this mess they're in right now. They got a lot of learning lessons out there. And you know what, James? There are a lot of things that's going on out there. The bye week is going to be costly for a lot of guys. Guys on the team, as we already heard, and I don't know if you guys are caught up on the information. We're going to give it to you today as well here on Steeler Nation Live. But the fact is, the Steelers have to stop being their own main nemesis when it comes to killing themselves in games.
Right. There's a couple of things that can get this ball rolling again. Number one, heart. You got to have heart. And right now, the Steelers are lacking a lot of heart. Starting the finger pointing, which rightfully so, you get frustrated. You're not used to losing. So what's the first instinct you want to do is you want to find fault in everybody else but yourself. And you know what? When you point your finger at somebody, you got 3 pointing back at yourself. We all know that what's going on. But the Steelers are lacking heart right now. They're lacking consistency. They're lacking motivation. They're lacking the skill set necessary to achieve a victory. They have to go into that locker room as a team. They have to come out of that locker room as a team. But leadership, they're lacking leadership. That's the big one right there, Sanders and folks at home. Prove me wrong. Call in 585-210-3917. Steeler fans out there, football fans, sports fans, you want to lay down what you got? I know there's a lot of Steeler haters out there. I know we've been getting beat up for the past couple weeks, especially by them Cowboy fans. Feel free to call in, Cowboy fans. We give much respect. No, we don't. Call in. Let's hear your voice. You got a lot of voice on the Facebook and all that. Call us in, 585-210-3917. We would really love to hear what you got to say. You don't have to be a Steeler fan to call in. You could be a Falcon fan. You could be a Buffalo Bill fan. You can be an Eagle fan. A friend of mine, Dilly Wilson there in Ontario, Canada, with Ontario Provisional Police. I can't even say it. Ontario Provisional Police. He's out there. He's a huge Philly fan. I'm waiting for him to call in. Dilly, I hope you call in. It's fine. We won't, tear you down and whatnot. But a lot going on to get that offense going. Remember, folks, when we got rid of Todd Haley, Steelers are 13-3. I don't know why we're keeping Matt Canada and we're 2-6. And it's not like we're just having, a really bad season. It's getting to the point where this is what it is. Starting from when he first came and took over the position, and you have quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, you had other players surrounding him, the Killer Bees. Basically we had, a great team. It was all going downhill from there. And now we're being exposed. Now Matt Canada's BS offensive scheme that wouldn't work in high schools is now being exposed. And you can't win game. We're last in yards per catch. We're last in yards rushes. Plays, points. We're last in points per game. I think we're only averaging 15 points a game. We can turn it around. We can really turn around. And people out there, I even said it at the beginning of the season. Who are you going to get if we fire Matt Canada? Who you just can't fire a coach and then expect somebody to come in. Yeah, we can. At this point, what do we have to lose? Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street. Let's get him in here. Anybody who has a pulse other than this, I'm sorry. I mean, we're not bashing him. It might sound like we're bashing him, but the facts are the facts, Sanders. Folks at home, prove me wrong. Call 585-210-3917. Somebody could come in here and do a better job. And we have to open up that defense. We have to throw the ball deep. You know what? We're going to do 3 now and punt it anyways. If they intercept it deep, it's a punt. You know what? Let's get some confidence. We're lacking all the confidence in there. We have to get confidence. And the only way we're going to do it, you got to change the channel.
No, I agree.
You have to do something different. It's not freaking working. Almost said it.
Yeah.
It's not working. It's not an excuse. It's reality. When you do the same dumb plays over and over again and they're not working, so predictable. I would love to see Todd Haley come back. I really would.
Well, you know what? Before we get deep into it, let's dissect some of the game. Versus the Eagles, 35-13. Not much to talk about. The Steelers had one drive that kind of tied the game up, and you kind of said, early in the first quarter, you kind of said, this might be a game.
Yeah.
But after that, the Steelers basically showed absolutely nothing. And I mean, we had a couple field goals and possibly even could have scored one time a little bit later in the game to cut it down to a one-possession game. But the Steelers faltered in that, and we came up with a 3-point field goal. And you know what? We had a lot of things that's always going in our directions when we go down to these big meetups. You got to think about it. We got TJ Watt is out. You got to think about it. Our kicker was out for this game.
Yeah, Boswell. It wouldn't matter if Boswell was even in.
But it's just those type of things. But the Steelers' mentality, they got to wake up. They got to wake up. And me, myself, I think it is about time for a different offensive coordinator to come on in. And I'm someone who's always out there and say, you know what, let's give the guy a shot. Let's give him this. Let's give him that. But the progressions from what I've seen from last year, there's no change. And it's the same type of stale play calling that the Steelers have gotten. And like you said, Todd Haley was in there, but Todd Haley kept Ben uprights and had him releasing the ball a lot quicker. But I think Ben got so complacent in these quick releases that he didn't give enough time for plays to actually form out. And now we got a quarterback that's out there who's almost kind of somewhat built in that way to where I think Pickett's out there looking for ways for a play to form. But the thing about it is now he's not giving the time for it to form. So it's got to be that mend. And you do that, like you said, with a nice offensive coordinator who has a good mix of plays. And I like that, what you said, James. One way to start a game off, back up and launch that bad boy.
That's it. I mean, what do you got to lose?
Right.
I mean, and another thing that we're not mentioning that we failed to mention as far as when you get different quarterbacks coming in, timing is everything. These routes are basically on timing patterns. And if you're not running the proper route, or if you're not getting out, or if you're not exploding off the line to get to that route, and the quarterback throws the ball, it looks like, what is he doing? Where is he throwing the ball? There's a lot of stuff going on in there. And then when you go to practice or you go to games and you just really don't give a shit and you're just not going out there giving it all, well, you know what? Well, we'll just go through the motions. This is what's going to happen. There's no identity, and the leadership is absolutely ass. And Mike Tomlin could come up there every game. He's a hypnotist. That's what he is. He's a hypnotist, because you're all pissed and you're all mad and you're like, what's he gonna say and what's gonna happen now? And he gets up there and he starts talking and you get memorized. You know what? But how many times, how many post game conversations can you have with that start off? I want to tip my hat to the Philadelphia Eagles. They made the plays. We didn't make the plays. They did what they had to do. We just couldn't do it. We had more penalties in the first half than we had first downs. And, talking like that every week, it gets old. It's very old. And I'm sick and tired of hearing it. I want somebody to lose their shit in the locker room and just actually grab somebody and say, look, and shake them and say, you need to wake up. This right now, you're heading for a losing season. But it really doesn't matter at this point, because what's more important, regular season wins or postseason wins? But if you get a good record and get to the postseason, that's when you have to worry about wins. Right now, losing season, winning season. I remember not too long ago that Seattle Seahawks went into the playoffs 6-9. Okay, 6-9. 3 games under 500, they made the playoffs. That's what I'm talking about. What's more important? Wins during the season to get you to the postseason, and wins after the postseason. That's what you're heading for. But when you play this Nancy style football and it doesn't seem like they care, that is so frustrating to the fans. It's unfair to everybody who pays for tickets, pays for hotels, airfare, gasoline to get to the game, concessions at the game. When you get out there and you don't even put an effort, when you're losing by 20 points per game and you're only putting up 15 points per game, that's ridiculous. That is unfair to the fans. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to go out there and perform. And if you can't perform, guess what? There's somebody out there that will. But the problem with that, folks, is we just have this little issue about picking the right people. So I think they need to reach out to me and Sanders, and we need to start drafting for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, because I'll tell you what, we got our stuff together.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, guys out there, like I said, I want to get your feedback, your true, honest feedback on what's your take on Kenny Pickett. I mean, you've seen a couple of games with Kenny Pickett in there. Now, sometimes I give him a little leeway because he's a rookie and I know he's still learning, even though some of the plays that I've seen have not made me feel me feel rosy. Not make me feel, it made me kind of chill and make me think about doing some things, to the TV and things like that. But the thing about it is, with this guy, he's a rookie, but if you look at it, his window is a lot shorter than some of the other quarterbacks out there. Let's give an example. Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's been in the league for, what is this, 5 years now? 4 or 5 years?
Longer than that, I think 7. I want to see 7.
No, he wasn't that long. But the thing about it is, he's in the league, and the fact is that he's not that much older than Kenny Pickett.
No, he's a couple years old.
Right. So he's not that much older than Kenny Pickett. So now this guy is already went through his stages of these lumps. Now, yeah, does he make stupid plays? Yeah, he does make stupid plays here and there. But Kenny Pickett is not that much younger than Lamar Jackson. So now he's got to make up that area a lot quicker. And now you got age that's going to start factoring in. So now I do like the fact that the Steelers made the right move. They brought in Mitch Trubisky to try to see what he can do, to try to, so that the young quarterback Pickett can try to understand the game. And which was a good move, I thought. Bring him in, see what he can do. And actually, if you ask me, to be honest, Mitch Trubisky has won more games this year than than Pickett.
Yeah.
So, but the thing about it is, Pickett is the long stay guy right now. But the thing about it is, it is a struggle. Will the struggles be enough? I mean, give me your feedback, guys. I want to hear what you guys think of Kenny Pickett. Do you think Kenny Pickett is the man? Do you think Kenny Pickett will be the long stay for the Steelers? From what you've seen so far, granted, it's been a couple games. Granted, he's a rookie. I'm putting all that in the pot, mixing it up. Give us your feedbacks. Call us if you want, 585-210-3917. Let's get your feedback on Kenny Pickett. See if you think he's the one for the Steelers. See if you think he could be the long-term medicine. Come on, guys. I want to hear from him. James, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? When we drafted Mitch Trubisky, everybody knew that he was not the future. The only way that Mitch Trubisky would be the future if he came in and he was a superstar. Okay. But he had everything against him. Okay. He had big shoes to fill. And he also had an offensive coordinator who doesn't know his butt from a hole in the ground. All right. When you get an offensive coordinator from college level and you barely succeed there, you cannot take that to the pro level. I don't care who you are or what you tell me. Prove me wrong. 585-210-3917. You cannot do it. And when you try to continually do the same thing and it's not working, but you're still doing it, that's wrong right there. Mitch Trubisky came in, like I said, as a bridge, as a gap builder between our next future quarterback, which we thought would be Kenny. It's Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett needs to stay in the game. Kenny Pickett needs to continue to do what he's doing, and it's a learning process. But you cannot learn from a teacher who is not teaching, who's giving you the same garbage over and over again. It's just like going to school and a teacher sitting back at the class and here's a book, read, and this is how you're going to learn. At the end of the day, we're going to give you a test. And if you fail, it's on you. This is basically what Kenny Pickett has been given. Now, I love his fortitude. He's made a bunch of mistakes. Granted, this is his grace year. He's a rookie. So next year, you're not going to get the sympathy from me. If you want sympathy, it's in a dictionary and I can tell you where to find it. But given his grace period this year, he's going to make some mistakes. But what I actually love his fortitude, his toughness. He's willing to run with the ball. How many quarterback sneaks did he did last game? He did more quarterback sneaks against the Eagles than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger probably did his whole career. And it worked.
Might be.
Now, if you take notes at home when you watch the game, folk like me and Sanders do, you're going to, at the end of the game, you're going to look at it and say, we should have won this game. How or why? And this is what it is. It's all on paper. This is what we do. And you look statistically how the Pittsburgh Steelers advanced the ball and when they scored a touchdown. And like me and Sanders were talking offline, it's just that jet sweep, 4th and 1 at the goal, they knew what was coming. Defense read it like a book. But what they failed to do is pick up Derek Watt. And why did they not pick him up? And why is he wide open in the end zone? Because predictability is everything. This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers do, and they just run the ball. We get 3-yard losses on a jet sweep. That's why nobody covered him, because they're not going to throw it to him. They don't do that. The Pittsburgh Steelers right now, you have to build offensively. Start doing the things that the defenses don't think we're going to do. It's common sense, right, folks? Do things that they don't think you're going to do, and you're going to have success. And then you build off of that. Little things, touchdowns, first downs, continue to drive. We're horrible on third down conversions. I think we're almost last in the league in third down. We have a better percentage on 4th downs than we do on third downs. And that means a lot when your offense is not functioning and not moving the ball. If you're not on the field, you can't score. And especially when the defense is not coming up with turnovers or at least pick sixes or fumble sixes or sacks. Now, sacks right now, first game of the season, we had 7 sacks.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yes, Watt was on the team. We had 7 sacks. Okay. Since Watt's exit to the Eagles game, 8 sacks for those 5 games. 8 sacks total when we had 7 in the first game. Yes, Watt brings everything to the table. 99.9% of defense is him. Forces the quarterback to do bad plays. That's where our secondary comes in. And Fitzpatrick, he feeds off that stuff. And I got it. He's not there. So we have to, next man stand up. You got to do something to do it. And lacklusterly, the defense is not providing that.
Exactly.
The linebackers, everything. You know what? One thing, though, is that the whole team is collapsing. It's not just the offense. It's not just special teams. It's the whole team as a whole. And I guess you got to give them that credit. I mean, if you're going to screw up, let the whole team screw up. And not so you can't really point fingers at anybody. Oh, the defense sucks. Well, the offense sucks. Well, special team sucks. You all suck. It's time to find out why you suck and fix it.
Yeah, that's the biggest key. And like a lot of people were saying on the board, even Joe Spano said, I believe Pickett will be fine in time. Needed change in coaches and upgraded O-line.
Oh, absolutely.
And I agree. I agree totally.
O-line has been slowly improving. I mean, it's not the best out there, but when you take the first couple games, they were complete garbage, dumpster fire, and they have steadily improved. I got to give them that. If there's any improvement on this team, I have to say I got to give credit to the O-line. The rest of the team, it's just like you don't know what you're going to get, and it's very frustrating.
Well,
very frustrating.
But not that we picked a lot on the offensive side of the ball for the Steelers. We already know that we're damn near dead last in the league in offense. No matter which way you look at it. We just talked about the O-line needing an upgrade there, and the fact that you got Najee, who I want to talk a little bit about Najee as well. Najee, I think, is a physical back. I think he's a great back. But the thing about it is, I don't know if Najee now has gotten himself into this format of dancing so much because he's thinking that there's not going to be any holes, or he's trying to make his own man-made holes. And dude, if the hole is there, go get it. Just like the young guy they got, Jalen.
Yeah.
I mean, just go get it. Just go to the hole, get the first down. Matter of fact, he caught himself short in the game versus the Eagles by catching a ball. And it was all he needed was 2 yards, but he caught it. And then he did a little bit of his dancing. And before you know it, the Eagles, a quick defense like that, shut it down. And I think he might have got a yard gain, so we were short. And hence, the Steelers are out there punting again, which plays into the other half of the conversation, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Now, James, let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, or lack thereof, in this game. But the fact is,
are you referring to the 4 dropped interceptions?
Well, yeah, the 4 dropped. That was the prior game.
Yeah,
not this game. Not this game. Yeah. This game, what we like to call is missed opportunities. Number one, the first touchdown from the Eagles should have never happened. That should have been a pick. Fitzpatrick, for some reason, misjudged it, and he was diving for an invisible ball, which Brown showed to prove that he knows where the ball is and caught it for a touchdown, which I couldn't understand for the life of me anyway.
Right. AJ Brown was just all over the secondary. Why they did not double team him? It's beyond me. It's going both ways, both sides of the ball, that these guys just don't have a clue what they're doing. It's embarrassing. I mean, why is it embarrassing? Because when you have a storied franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who when you think of Steelers, the first thing you think of is the steel curtain, the defense, the wins championships, Bill Cowher and the chin, Jerome Bettis, bubbling, stumbling. You think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Terry Bradshaw back in the pocket, Lynn Swann. You're talking about Antonio Brown from Ben Roethlisberger. You're thinking about all those highlights and how it was in the past, and now players have changed, coaches have changed. It's not the same Steelers, and you expect that to continue, and it's uncharted waters. Pittsburgh Steelers, years ago in the past, we had bad seasons, but you know what? It was because they were just bad seasons, and you overcome them. I think 2003, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 6-9. In the following year, they were 15-1. Nothing really changed from those 2 seasons, but probably a little attitude and some coaching and some, changing up on the plays and stuff. It can happen. Like I said, folks, if you're just tuning in, when we first started our conversation tonight, the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2006 under Bill Cowher, they started the season at 2-6, went on a bye week, came off the bye week. First game at home was against the Saints. That's happening this year too. And they ended up with an 8-8, 500 season. I mean, can we turn this around? Hopefully, I do believe we can turn it around, but the coaching staff has got to turn it around as well. They got to stop doing the same 10 plays every game, that just by forming. You see, when Matt Canada came, his big thing was a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of misdirection plays, a lot of movement on the offense. I haven't seen that. And they line up to the line of scrimmage. I call the plays. I can tell you what. If I was a defensive coordinator, I'd be calling in. This is what they're going to do. This is what I see. This is what's going to happen. And they don't disguise anything. That's another thing that Matt Canada was supposed to bring to the table. Disguising plays. Looking at one play, and it's a total different play. I have not seen that. Sanders, if you've seen that, let me know. Folks at home, if you've seen that, please let me know if I'm missing something. 585-210-3917. Please call in. insanity. And, not to bash him. I mean, this is who he is, and this is what he brings to the table. It doesn't work. It's not working. It's not going to work. We have to change the channel. We have to bring somebody else in. And I'm not talking about wide receiver coach. I'm not talking about, running back coach or assistant coach. We need to get somebody outside the organization. We need some fresh eyes. You've been too close to the project. You can't see what really needs to be changed. We need to look outside the organization to come in and say, look, this is not working. This is what's going to work, and do it. And even if it's mid-season, get a new coach in there so we can get prepped for next year. You know what I'm saying? Get him in, get somebody else into some fresh blood. So, because you're not going to learn a playbook overnight, Sanders.
Right.
Just throw this in, throw that in, restructure a little bit this way, that way, and just get ready for next year.
Yeah. That's the main thing. Like you said, and I can agree with you totally. The fact is we do need a fresh change. Now, will it start slowly? The Steelers are trying to make changes now. As we had just seen, this was a huge one that happened this afternoon. The Steelers trading away Claypool, which was unbelievable. I thought it would never happen.
No.
And the thing about it is, guys, what is your thoughts on Claypool? I believe Claypool is a good receiver. Do I believe Claypool is a dominant receiver? No. Do I believe Claypool, when he was bestowed with the what was they the title they used to call him Mapletron, to try to bring back the old styles of Megatron?
Yeah.
No. And the thing about it is, I like Claypool, but the thing about it is, Claypool cannot go up and get the balls at 6'4". There's no way in heck a guy that's 5'8", 5'9" should be defending you on a jump ball.
Yeah, he used to climb the ladder. I mean, that was one of the things that that I liked about him. His tenacity, that he'd fight for the ball, he'd do what he had to do. A little immature at times, and he cost us some games, whatever. But I've seen him mature a lot, and he's got to go from Ben Roethlisberger to Mason Rudolph to Trubisky. He's got a bunch of quarterbacks there, all different styles of throw. He's got to get accustomed to it, and his maturity level has increased, and I did notice that. However, you got to make the moves. You got to do what you got to do, and to get a second round pick for him, I didn't see him anything lower than a fourth round, maybe a fourth and a fifth conditional next year or 2024, but a second Chicago. We'll jump on it, because right now we have as if the draft was tomorrow, Pittsburgh Steelers would have the fourth pick in the first round right now, and 2 second rounds to start off to either shore up that offensive line and maybe get a wide receiver, maybe a running back. I think other players on a trading block should be, and I might get some negative feedback for this. Number one, we talked about earlier in the show, Najee Harris. I mean, let's get some draft picks for him. You know what I mean? And Jaylen Warren's come in admirably in doing his job, and we seen decline in Najee Harris. When Najee Harris came, everybody thought he was, the greatest thing to slice bread, and he did what he had to do with a horrible offensive line. But this year, it's like he's regressing, and it's just like you mentioned, Sanders. He used to get the ball and run and make his own holes. Now he's trying to get fancy and dancing, almost like Le'Veon Bell-esque. But Le'Veon Bell did what he had to do, and it was horrible that we got rid of him as well. But another person to trade, Cam Hayward. Trust me, he is the leader of that defense right now. But at the end of the year, if he decides to retire, now what? If we trade Cam Hayward right now, we get a bunch of great draft picks for him. It's not changing the outlook of the team right now. You got to think of the future. Look at where we're at right now, and look at what we can be next year with draft picks. We're at that point right now. Like you said, Sanders rebuilding, I guess.
Oh, he finally said that word.
I like restructuring, but you know what? When the walls start crumbling down, You got to do what you got to do. You got to look for the future right now. And even if the Steelers come up and miraculously come out of the season at 500, there's no way that playoffs or even a Super Bowl run. I mean, yeah, we're big fans, and I'm pretty sure there's a ton of fans out there, but you have to know when is when. And but would we like to see the Steelers in a Super Bowl? Absolutely. Are they going to go there? They might have to buy tickets.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. And do I agree with some of what you were saying, guys? Give us your feedback as well. Joe Spano says, "Hate to say this, look, Harris looks to be overrated to him." And Najee Harris, I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing to say because when you don't have any blocking, what do you do? Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking up for the dance steps that he's doing out there on the field, at times, but I know he's physical. I know he's, those are a lot of things that we're lacking for a while there. A nice physical back, and I believe he's quick. But the thing about it is, Najee there's no holes. I mean, it's like he's running into a steam wall. And if the other back, Jalen comes in, when he comes in, the fact is he's getting the majority of his carries off of draw plays, and those draw plays is because the defense is so set back so far. Finally. That they get away with a draw. So it's a caught off guard type play to them. Yeah. But the thing about it is when Najee's in the game, they come closer to the line. Watch it. They come closer to the line of scrimmage because they're expecting Najee to get the ball because they don't trust Kenny Pickett at this moment. Not really yet.
Right.
So, and the fact is the Steelers, like you said, open up the game with a long ball, and that'll open up a lot of things.
Yeah, because number one, they're not expecting it. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with Joe. I agree with Joe that he is overrated. And the reason why, and Joe could probably agree with me on this, is that when you're in a situation where you expected more, you're supposed to do more. And when you don't do it, you're overrated. I mean, you're supposed to make plays happen. You're a playmaker, not a play block for me. I'm going to make something maybe happen. You have to do what you're dealt with. The cards you're dealt with. You got to play that hand. And if there's not holes, you make them. And that's what he did in college. And when you come to the pro level, you have to step up your game. There's higher expectations. And especially with the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the ground and pound game, you're supposed to make plays happen. But then again, he's not a miracle worker. I understand exactly what you're saying, Sanders. You need somewhat of an offensive line to block for you. Now, with this taken into consideration, let's look at the positives that the Pittsburgh Steelers do offensively, and it works. And we see this not as often as we should because that's why we're not winning games. Hurry up offense. They do that once in a while, and then they stop. It works. It stops. Play action. It works. They stop. Throwing it to Freiermuth in the middle of the field. It works. They stop. Air it out down the field. Like I said, if they intercept it or they drop it or whatever, if he overthrows the ball, it's a punt. I mean, 3 and out, you're going to do 3 and out, right? Let's do it. And Kenny Pickett, like I said earlier, he runs with the ball usually for his life at this point, but he's not sitting back there taking too many sacks. And the sacks he does take, it's unfortunate when the pocket collapses. He's got to know enough to get out of the pocket. I think they need to turn him into a swing quarterback, run out of the pocket quarterback, get out of that pocket, make things happen. And I think once they establish that, then you could start the running game and in the screens and all this. But this jet sweep shit, I mean, if you're gonna do it, get in a different formation or something. At least do something to make it not look like it, because all day long, Stevie Wonder could say, "Hey, jet sweep."
Yeah, and that's exactly what's coming.
Yeah,
but and credit to the Steelers. The Steelers keep on, and they're still making changes. And like I said, this here, that the free agency, the trade deadline that they just had, Steelers kept making moves. Unbelievably, Claypool traded to the Chicago Bears, and they made another move.
Jackson,
Willie Jackson, right? Willie Jackson. This guy's by way of Cincinnati, also with the Washington Commanders. I know, what a name. And young guys.
Looks like Joe Haden.
He does too. He's a young guy. He gets up physical. He likes to play man to man, and that's something the Steelers need. The Steelers need it. The Steelers right now, they have
they're lacking depth in
yeah,
that corner position due
and
to
they gotta fill it.
injuries, and
They gotta fill it, brother.
yeah, and Joe Hayden's still on there. You know, he's still available to be signed, and Willie Jackson III. If people remember this, and back in 2016 draft, when the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking to draft a corner, and we were like, why are you going to draft a corner? Why? In the first round, we had so many other needs. But anyways, since he was before us and they ended up stealing him from us, and that makes it even worse because who did we end up drafting? Artie Burns.
Right.
So Artie Burns or Willie Jackson, obviously you're going to take Willie Jackson over Artie Burns. But had the Cincinnati Bengals not drafted him, he would have already been a Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe a Hall of Famer. Who knows? But yeah, we all know how Artie Burns turned out. So
right. Yeah, that was a disastrous experiment.
Disaster.
But the thing about it is the Steelers are, like I said, continually making moves, and they're trying to go in somewhat of a direction. They have really no identity yet. And a lot of that, to me, formulates from that offense. I thought the defense was at the start of this season was going to be the identity for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it did not work out that way. You know, with injuries, I believe with the return of T.J. Watt after the bye week and the return of maybe some other players, the Steelers can do some changes. Will they make the playoffs? No. I just want to be competitive. And a lot of you Steelers fans out there, I know you want to watch your boys out there be competitive because the Steelers are always the ones that try to keep themselves in games. You know, rarely do we get blown out. It's never like this where it's like where we lose these insurmountable leads against the Buffalo Bills, who's a great team right now. Then you got this game yesterday against the Philadelphia Eagles, who's another great team. But the Steelers, early on, we show some form of a poise, and then the wheels just fall off. So we have to find ways to get control of that and find ways to make good progress on good plays. And will it start with this young quarterback? A lot of people out there believe Kenny Pickett, given the time, given the time to maturate, to grow, and to do the things he needs to do. A lot of people out there who are Steelers fans believe that Kenny Pickett will be the guy. But in the same hand, I just want to make sure that we're not fooling ourselves.
No.
And the thing about it is, a lot of us feel this way because Kenny Pickett's a Pittsburgh guy. Kenny Pickett's, we just finished dealing with Mitch Trubisky, which I thought Mitch was bad, but Mitch wasn't horrific.
No, not at all. Like I said, we didn't sign him to be our GOAT, to be the guy who's going to take us to the promised land. He's just there to fill the gap, fill the bridge, and obviously everybody was hopeful, optimistic that he can turn this offense around with his skill set and, his mature level, and been with the league for a few years, that he would bring something to the table. But you know what? It's not a one-man show. You need help around you. You need leadership, and the lack of leadership, that didn't help. The lack of the old offensive line that we just got, everybody just getting to know each other, all hodgepodge, willy-nilly guys just thrown together and from different teams. It's not like they've been playing for years. And, I don't care. You go to training camp together and you can play for a couple weeks. You're not going to get that big of a bond that you're going to know each other and how each other plays and different styles and techniques. But if you're there for a couple of years, you grow. Now, this is what it's going to happen. This is why I see the Steelers offensive line. Like I said, they're starting to get their stuff together, starting to gel. But the play calling, disastrous. Any team out there, and I can tell you right now, who has a losing record, who has a propensity to lose, will say the same thing. What's up with the play calling? You need leadership to call the right plays. And it's like I said a couple of shows ago, you're trying to pound a square peg into a round hole. And just because the harder you hit it, you might jam it in there, but it's not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is what's happening. And you just can't look at this 10 playbook and just, it's going to work. It's going to work. You can tell yourself that till you're blue in the face.
Well, let me ask you guys now. And let me ask you as well. Now, the Steelers now that you got the upcoming bye week for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a lot of changes have to be made. You already started with Claypool, bringing in Willie Jackson, the defensive back. And what other changes out there, guys? We need your information on the board. Text us here. as well. Call in 585-210-3917. What other changes should the Steelers be making during this bye week? I mean, a lot of people out there believe that, maybe they should do a surprise cut and cut Tomlin, or maybe they should just go ahead and get rid of this offensive coordinator, or maybe they, like he said, maybe Najee should be next on the blocks.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, if that's the case, then if Najee goes or a couple other people go, then you're truly rebuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gotta like that Jaylen Warren kid. He gets in there, he gets the job done. I mean, he rumbles, stumbles, bumbles. I mean, he's got the power. He's low. He's 5'7". He's 200 pounds. He's low to the ground. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of power. And this is the kid that you need on those 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s. And you don't want to really put Pickett in that position, that quarterback sneak every play. But you know what? It works. It's been working. It does put a lot of, wear and tear on your quarterback. You shouldn't have to do that. But when you get Najee in there, who's supposed to be the Jaylen Warren, who's supposed to get the ball and just go and pound, and when you're starting dancing around looking for holes or a dance partner, you end up losing yardage. You just got to get the ball and go. That's it.
100%. And like we said, with all these changes that's coming up, huge games that are on the horizon for the Steelers only played, I believe, Cleveland out of their whole division. So you know what? I know Baltimore's coming up. I'm not sure of the next game that's coming up after the
we
bye.
beat Cincy the first game that we should have lost. So, I mean, and then we got the Saints at home, and it just we can't even look past that game. We'll give you the schedule, who we're playing next, but you know what? It doesn't matter at this point. What matters right now is our next game is at home against the Saints, and how are we going to win this game?
Yeah, that's a good key. Joe Spano says, get good draft picks and fire Canada.
Well, we don't have to get draft picks to fire Canada. We should just fire them anyways. It's as simple as that.
As you can see, the love that goes around the room for Matt Canada. And like I said, I'm one of the guys who's out there thinking that, give this guy a chance, A, B, C, D, and we did. We gave him a chance. And it didn't work out. I think it's that time to move on, especially when you got a young quarterback out there. And here's the thing that might be a problem for you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there. Now, Kenny Pickett he's also had a coach. This would be his 3rd offensive coordinator, possibly within a year or so, a couple of years.
Yeah,
he's had one in college. Now he's got Matt Canada, and now he's going through another guy. Is that a good way for a young quarterback to progress in the NFL? Continue changes. But I mean, I'm with you guys. I don't like stagnation. I don't like being in the same spot. But will that set him back even further?
Right now is the time. You're 2-6. You're not going anywhere. You're not at that cusp where you're like kind of on the fence where, if we do a couple extra plays like this, we can do that. We can, it can go either way. Not at this point. And it doesn't look like there's any hope. This was the chance. Well, they said that this was the chance to show what Matt Canada had against the Eagles, and this was going to prove whether he stays or goes. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a second. All right, we're 2-5, right? And nothing has seemed to change. What is one game possibly going to do? What can he pull out of his magic hat that's going to turn this whole season around? So I'm thinking there's no way that this is going to happen. But then we have that one play where Claypool threw for the touchdown, something that you would never imagine Pittsburgh Steelers do. Almost it was like the Philly special, right? It was almost like the Philly special, and it worked. And why did it work? Because, like I said earlier, that they were so predictable that they didn't expect that to happen. That we always do those stupid jet sweeps and we don't do nothing with them. And I'm thinking early in the game, what else has he got up his sleeve? What else has he been holding back from the team that he was scared to give to the offense that it just might work? And right after that, right back to normal. And I'm just like, yep, he's going to be gone after this game. In fact, I was saying if he didn't walk out of that booth at halftime and go home, I wouldn't be surprised. But he's still with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that angers me. It really does, because you know what? It's not like a knee-jerk reaction, folks. You get like, oh, get rid of Trubisky. Oh, get rid of Pickett. Oh, they made bad plays. Let's get rid of them. This is a season where you're 2-6. and you're doing the same stuff. It's time for change. He needs to go. And Tomlin, hot seat, because he's allowing this garbage to happen. I mean, don't they have team meetings? Doesn't Tomlin go in and say, hey, Matt, what the hell is this? I mean, we've lost 4 games because of your offense. Look what the offense is doing. Look what the offense continues to do. We're not seeing any success. What's your thoughts? What are your plans? What are you going to do next game that's going to be better so we can have a better chance to win? And it seems like it's the same thing. Defense seems like they're following suit. 4 missed interceptions against the Dolphins. We lose by 6 points. We should have won that game. The final drive. Should Pickett have ran for the first down, ran out of bounds, stopped the clock? Probably. I mean, but who are we? I mean, he's there playing the game. I mean, you would hope that he'd do the right thing, but it's so easy to sit back at home on your couch, drinking your beer, eating your popcorn or your pizza, whatnot, watching this and directing what everybody should do. That's one thing. But when you're on the field, it's something different. That's how you learn. That's how you progress. That's how you mature. Roethlisberger in there, we win this game. I'm sorry. Why? Because Roethlisberger final play, he's calling his own plays. He's not listening to the booth upstairs. He's not. And we win this game. Why? Because that's what Ben Roethlisberger used to do. Now Kenny Pickett has to do it. And this is how he's going to learn. But not with a coaching staff that we have right now. It's not like pointing fingers, knee-jerk reaction, folks. When you're sitting there 2-6 and it's not improving, you know what? To make an omelet, folks, some eggs need to be broken. So you know what? It's time for a change. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Man, you're on point tonight, man.
Because I'm working with you, buddy.
Hey, that's it. That's what it's all
about. I feed off of you.
That's it. Black and yellow, still a nation. Hey, but you know what? I agree 100%. The Steelers right now, we need a change. We got to do something differently. A lot of changes out there. A lot of people on the boards calling for changes and the other outlets as well. And Spano again, Spano's out there. Steelers are too faithful to their coaches. It's unfortunate in this situation. And it's true. It is. To a point that, you know what? Sometimes you just got to cut heads. But is it the right time? Like I said, we all know Tom, like you said, Tomlin's been there 15 plus years. And a lot of people always says, they keep bringing up this non-losing season or whatever. But the thing about it is they need to stop. I do want to see championship seasons. I do want to see A, B, C, D. Do I think it was a great thing to get away from Roethlisberger? Yes, I do. And if you look at
change.
And if you look at some of the other 2 teams out there, the Green Bay Packers who holding on to their quarterbacks, Tampa Bay Bucks who holding on to their older quarterbacks, and these guys right now are floundering out there right now, and right now it doesn't look like it was a good move at the moment. Are these good quality quarterbacks? Yes. Would Roethlisberger have been a good quarterback? Yes. But the thing about it is, would Roethlisberger win that game? I say no. And the only reason I say no is because historically, Roethlisberger struggled against the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what it is. They always had something dimed up for the Steelers, and they played hard. Maybe it was this interstate rivalry between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles. They're both from Pennsylvania. Maybe that's it. But they were always hyped up for it. Granted, did the Steelers beat them the year with Roethlisberger when they beat him in Pittsburgh? They sure did. I believe Carson Wentz was a quarterback at that moment. But the Steelers did. But the Eagles, more than less, I wish we could look up their actual record versus each other. But the Steelers always gave the Pittsburgh Steelers a phenomenal game. And more or less, they came out on top. I don't know what it was. Steelers have some teams they struggle against. We struggle against the Philadelphia Eagles, and we also struggle against the New England Patriots. I mean, let's call it what it is. But right now, the Steelers they're at a point to where they have to find ways to get better. And one thing that I do say about Tomlin, he's got to start to make people accountable. We heard a lot about that this week with a lot of players saying accountability. And it does. And it takes that. It takes accountability around the whole board, from the offensive line, who I got to give it to them. They've been getting beat up all season anyway, and they deserve it. Pickett, to the other quarterbacks behind Pickett when they come in, to that secondary. And I can't even really, is our pass rush subpar? It is at times, but we're missing our big gun from out of there. But the thing about it is, still, the pressure has to be there. But those guys, they did get a couple sacks off of Hurst. So I can't knock them on that. But the fact is, They need to be better all the way around. This bye week, James, I don't know what they're going to do. There's going to be a lot of people that have to be on the hook. There's going to be a lot of accountability that has to be made, James. And if not, it's going to be a lot of issues right there. And it's going to be the same old, same old. And you're looking at Tomlin's first losing season. And you guys out there, the black and gold, always rep. I went to the store, and right after I went to the store, I seen a couple walking out, both of them wearing Steelers jerseys. It was a guy and a woman wearing Steelers jerseys. And that's one thing. And like I told my son, I said, you are not used to Pittsburgh losing. A lot of teams out there, James, these guys have been losing forever. You're a Buffalo Bill fan. You know Buffalo Bills on top right now. But you know the Bills have been losing before that. The Bills have been losing before that and been losing a long time before that. But those fans still stay there. Those fans still support. And that's why it's important that you guys make sure you follow your Pittsburgh Steelers. Make sure you check us out. Keep checking us out here on Steeler Nation Live, because for the love of the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it's good or bad, whether we get blown out 51-3, 51-6, you know, James, we're going to always be here, and we're going to always be wearing the black and yellow, baby.
Yeah. And just a little trivia factor out there for folks at home who maybe not know this. Back in 1943, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles became one team. They were called the Steagles. Look it up.
That's true.
Yeah, it had to do with World War II, I believe it was, and the lack of all the players getting drafted, and the teams, the NFL was down to a couple teams, so they had to combine the two teams in the Steagles, and they weren't too bad. They weren't the best, but they weren't too bad. But yeah, with that saying, Sanders, you're absolutely right. Stick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it's going to be a rocky road, but you know what? Unless there's change, there needs to be change. And it's not a knee-jerk reaction at this point. When you're 2-6 and you're not going anywhere, when you have a defense that was unstoppable, now they're like a cheesecloth and like Swiss cheese, and you got the offense who can't run out of a paper bag. I can't throw out of a paper bag because you're not even throwing a ball. I mean, you're not going to win too many games like that. And what got us by last year was the defense and the defensive touchdowns. The offense, they carried the offense, and now we can't even carry each other. And Presley Harvin, I mean, what are you going to get with this kid? I mean, he either kicks the ball 100 yards or 20 yards. I mean, it's inconsistent all the way around. I can't make this up. You're laughing, and it's funny. It's actually funny. This is you just can't make this up. And like I said earlier, I mean, it's not one dimension of the team screwing up. It's the whole team, all the way up to the coaching. And there was a saying, either shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? Now you got to make the change. You can't wait for the change to make you. You have to make the change. And right now, this is what we're good. This is what we're going to be dealing with, is if we keep number one, Matt Canada, and number two, Mike Tomlin. I mean, like I said, 2006, Cowers last year. Come on. I mean, you got to change things. You got to, you know what? You go to a movie, you don't like it, you leave. You're watching a TV show on your TV, it gets boring, you turn it. Right? Coaching ain't coaching. You got to get another coach. It's simple.
Yeah.
And then you work off that in your term, rebuilding, Sanders. Yes, okay. Then we can rebuild.
Well, guys, like I said, like the way we started today's show, phenomenal show. We talked about the Steelers offense, which, I'm sorry about that, if you were eating dinner at that time when you were watching the show. And we also talked about the Steelers defense as well. And I apologize for that as well. But the thing about it is, we all know the Steelers have to make changes. And that's what it all comes down to. And like we said, with changes, the fact is, long as you don't change, make sure you stay with us here on Steeler Nation Live. So, guys, we're at the end of today's show. But the thing about it is, we want to always, like James said at the beginning of the show, give support to our guys and wearing the uniforms. Hey, that's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about. Those are the guys that make everything the way it should be here in the United States of America. We got Joe Spano still writing. He says, Alvin Kamara is going for 200 all-purpose yards. Boy, this guy's in love with Alvin Kamara.
Well, he's hurt, so I only say 190. But yeah, we got to talk a score really quick.
Oh yeah, that's right. Scoring that game.
We got a few seconds.
Yep.
Before the show ends. Sanders, I unless there's some coaching changes, we're not going to win this game.
So what are you saying as a score?
I'm going to say 31-10 Saints.
31-10?
Yep.
Holy jeebies. I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna go out for my Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm saying is I think somehow it might be one game that Kenny Pickett wakes up, and I'm not gonna say win the game, but I'll see it'll be a game that Kenny Pickett will do better. So Joe Spano on the board, he said 27-13. I believe he's talking about the Saints winning 27-13.
I said
I got 31. That as well for you.
I said 31. 4 touchdowns and a field goal.
I'm giving it a score of, I'll say a 28-14 score, and I'll say the Saints going to win this game, and only because the Steelers still have a lot they have to figure out. Man, we got other people on the board. Lori Morin. All right, Lori, thank you for writing in. 31-10. I believe she's talking about the Saints as well. That's how bad it's getting. And Lori, the first time writing on the board, 31-10. She smacks us in the face. But that's what it's all about. 31-10. And also, we want to thank people also for checking out the show. Somebody said many more losses to come. I know who he is. Great to see you. Hey, great to see you, brother. And it's a Buffalo Bill fan. So he'll be joining us very, very, very shortly as well. Let Buffalo Bill, they're on that high right now. So sure. Like we said. And speaking of that, let me be honest before we head out tonight. The Buffalo Bills is a good team. Buffalo Bills is a team that deserves what they've done. The Buffalo Bills have done a thing. Pittsburgh went down there and y'all took us out to the woodshed. I'm not gonna lie. But the thing about it is that can you win the big game? Can you get one of these?
No, they'll make it. I called it the first game, Sanders. I called it the first game. Philadelphia and Buffalo, and Philly's gonna win it. Sorry, Buffalo fans.
Wow.
And the reason why I say that is
write that down right now.
Yep. Philly's gonna beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. And another reason why I'm saying that is because I'm going to see who watched the show tomorrow, who contacts me, who's a Buffalo Bill fan, just to see who was watching the show. But I call it game 1. Prove me wrong, folks. Prove me wrong.
Hey, guys, like we said, another show in the books here on Steeler Nation Live. Your boy Sanders Tisdale.
James Owen.
Hey, guys, thanks for checking us out. As always, much respect to you guys. Make sure you check us out every Tuesday here on Steeler Nation Live. Go to the website, www.steelernationlive. Check us out there as well. Hey, guys, so we see you Tuesday. Steelers rule.